Welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in. Much obliged. So I've just come in fresh out of the cinema and just caught the 2022 film, the DC film called The Batman. So what are my thoughts? Will this stack up with The Dark Knight? Let's go over the trailer and discuss it in depth, shall we?
When that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning.
From your secret friend, who haven't a clue. Let's play a game, just me and you. This is the Powder King.
So The Batman, a 2022 film with the main character being Robert Pattinson as the Batman and Bruce Wayne. I have to admit, when the cast did come out and we had Pattinson cast as the main character or the Batman, I was very concerned. I haven't seen any of the sparkly vampire movies called Twilight. I don't really intend on watching them. No offense to those people that are fans out there. It's just not my cup of tea. However, when the Batman or Bruce Wayne or Pattinson is on the screen, it is a pleasant surprise and he does it quite well.
Riddler's to match. I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city.
So Matt Reeves, the director, has done a very good job in bringing Gotham to life. The city is run by criminals, obviously, the old Gotham story. It's very gritty, it's very much lived in, very grimy. It is at night most of the time that we do see Gotham, and it does rain a hell of a lot of the time as well, which actually adds to the whole aspect of the film. And it is great for Batman, Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, all of them to run around in this very gritty and grimy environment. So he done a very good job in bringing this type of Gotham to life compared to the other Gothams that we have seen, like in The Dark Knight. It does remind me a little bit of the Batman from the 1980s and in the early 90s, Batman Returns as well. Just that very gritty and grimy lived in world.
I've been trying to reach you. How am I a part of this? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Selena, don't throw your life away.
So Robert Pattinson does play a very good Batman. Bruce Wayne is not in the movie all that much. You do see him from time to time, but mostly it's Pattinson playing Batman at night. So he's a very brutal Batman, very similar to the Batman in the games or the PlayStation games, which I really love. He's also very much a detective style of Batman, which we haven't seen too much of. So some people may think it is a bit of a slow burn in terms of him being a detective, but I really did like where they went with this particular Batman. So he does quite a good job as Batman, I felt. We've also got Zoe Kravitz as well. She does a pretty good job as Catwoman, a lot better than Anne Hathaway, which I personally don't like. Michelle Pfeiffer is probably the best Catwoman that we've seen up on screen. Halle Berry, won't even mention her, that was a crap movie. Then you've also got Colin Farrell as well, playing the gangster style of the Penguin or Oswald Cobblepot. You do not see Colin Farrell on the screen at all. He's gone. This particular style of Penguin is very much a Tony Soprano gangster style of Penguin. He does not muck around. He is quite funny when he is on scene, and he is quite fat as well. But when he is on screen, he does own a lot of it, which is good. We've also got Paul Dano, who is the Riddler. He plays a very good role in this particular film, from both when he has the mask on and then basically when he is caught later in the film. We do see that in the trailer, but he's a complete psychopath and he plays the Riddler quite good. Not as cartoonish as the Riddler played by Jim Carrey, but still a very good Riddler I really did rate.
I can take care of myself.
You need a friend of yours? I'm not so sure.
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
So a few of the other supporting cast members, you've got Jeffrey Wright, who plays Gordon. He's great in the film. I really did love him as Gordon. Him and Batman get along very well, very much a good cop, bad cop, or in some cases, bad cop, even worse cop, when they're interrogating some of the criminals. You've also got Andy Serkis that plays the butler, which is Alfred to Bruce Wayne. He's not in the film all that much, but when he is on the screen, he does a pretty believable role. So I did like this movie for a number of reasons. If you've seen the movie Seven, this film reminded me very much of that style of movie where you've got basically a serial killer or the main villain who's setting all these different types of traps and tasks and whatnot. It does kind of remind me of Saw as well. You'll know what I mean when he have the Riddler traps and whatnot up on the screen. So it did give that very grimy and gritty feel to it, especially when it's combined with the night scenes and the rain as well, to bring not just Gotham to life, but also to bring the killer that we're dealing with in terms of a villain being the Riddler, his grand scheme of things up on the screen with all of that combined. So I did like how the movie did remind me of those two types of films.
If you are justice, please do not lie.
Mr. Wayne.
What is the price for your blind eye?
So this film does remind me a lot of another DC film, which is The Watchmen, where you've got Bruce Wayne or Batman who narrates throughout it. Not all the time, it's not overkill, it actually works quite well. He also keeps a diary, and that does remind me of the character Rorschach out of the Watchmen film, basically where he is narrating through part of it and also making a journal or a diary entry, which does work quite well. Batman can fly in this movie or glide. I won't go into too much detail there. You do see that in the trailer. And I like how it is year 2 for Batman, so he does make mistakes throughout the film, which is quite believable. The new Batmobile is awesome. The chase scene that we do see in the trailer with him and Penguin is incredible, to say the least. I really did like it. It is similar to the chase scene of the tunnel in The Dark Knight, where we've got the semi-trailer flipping. No semi-trailers do flip in this, but it did remind me of that particular scene and was handled very well.
What are you doing?
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
So now we get to the pros and cons section of the movie. The pros. The movie does look immaculate. I really did like how all the characters were up on screen. They were very believable in all of their roles. It is a M-rated movie, so it's not overly violent, but it's probably violent enough in terms of being a believable Batman from the games and whatnot. So Gotham looks great. The plot of the overall film is quite good. I really did like where it ended up. The cons of the film is probably a bit too long, as I did mention, and the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman could have been a lot more convincing, but I'm probably nitpicking at those 2 points. So overall, the film is very, very good to watch.
I don't care what happens to me.
You better stop your goddamn vehicle now!
Come on, Vengeance. Let's get in some trouble.
Lied to me, Alfred. We all have our scars, Bruce. We need to save them. Here and now.
So the verdict for The Batman. I really did like this film. Is it as good as The Dark Knight? They're two different movies, so it's probably hard to say that it is better or worse than The Dark Knight. Again, two different styles of Batman and characters as well. The Joker, played by Heath Ledger, will forever be iconic. It'll be very hard to beat him unless you're putting him up against Joaquin Phoenix. Again, not a differentiation between the two Jokers. They are basically two Jokers at two different times. So this movie has stood on its own 2 feet, and I really did like where they went with the detective style of film for the Batman. And I really did like one little thing towards the end where Batman uses a device on himself, which we haven't seen in a Batman film before, so it was actually quite cool. And he does cop a lot of crap in terms of being shot at throughout the film. So great villain. Did love the Riddler throughout it, again with Penguin as well, Catwoman. They all do a great job. So I will give it my number 1 rating, which is definitely go and check it out in the cinema if you still can in the last couple of weeks while it is up on the silver screen before it reaches the streaming services. So thank you for tuning back in. Much appreciated. Again, thank you for all the feedback and the support on the podcast. You can find that at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major platforms. So feel free to give that a listen as well. So thanks again, and I will catch you on the Menjay.
Are you just seriously scarred?